All right, so this is kind of interesting. In today's episode of Daily Drama and Fever Crash Outs, basically the Indiana Fever had practice, and Stephanie White addressed the media about Kyra Lambert, the new player on the Fever, who they brought over. She'd been playing overseas, has not played in the WNBA as of yet. Relatively unknown, right? By not just the fan base, but also by the coaching staff, which Stephanie White openly admitted we'll get to in just a second. But it has led to a broader conversation about international scouting and whether the Fever are missing the boat there or a third-rate organization because of their lack of international scouting resources. Let's table that for 1 second and get to what head coach Stephanie White had to say about the newest member of the team. This was the coach from practice, courtesy of Tony East's YouTube channel here. And I'll play you a bit of what she had to say.
I think with some of them, we have an idea of the things that we'll run when they're on the floor and the things that we won't. With some of them, we're trying to figure out, right? Like we've seen Odyssey in this league and we know what she does. Kyra's a little more unfamiliar. So, trying to figure out the best positions to put her in.
Unfamiliar.
Bibby as well. I mean, we had primarily played Bibby at the four. Now she had to play a little bit of the wing, when we didn't have numbers on the wing. So it's really trying to figure out what positions we can put them in that's best for success.
What's going on, especially with the front office? Yeah. Whatever it takes to go find these players because they're available.
Yeah.
Is it film study? Is it calling other coaching connections? What's
all the above?
Like?
Right. It's all the above. It's seeing film, watching clips, talking to contacts and connections. Bree and especially has been super helpful in this. She's got a lot of contacts overseas who have seen Kyra, for example, play a lot overseas. Teammates that she's had that are over there that played with her, against her. Same thing with Odyssey. All three of our assistant coaches coached her in AU, so they have some familiarity with her. So it really is all hands on deck and trying to get the best person possible to fit the need at the time.
Had Kyra been on your radar previously? Like, had she been a name that came up earlier in this process?
No.
So now that you've seen her play a little bit and I think having started a little bit, what is it about her that makes her the right fit for this?
Well, I think number one, her preparation. From the initial phone call that Amber and Kelly had to, our conversations. She's been watching the team. She's studying what we're doing, studying how we've played opponents on both ends, what we've done to attack, what we've done on the defensive end. Reminds me a little bit of Ari when she came in and really already kind of had some of the playbook down. Her ability to get downhill. She's got some speed and quickness as well. So all of those things are what we need and what we miss without having Ari and sit on the floor.
So there you have it. And the part that people are jumping on is that the Fever were relying on clips and Brianne January, remember the coaching staff and word of mouth and all that sort of stuff in order to make a decision like this. Because it appears they don't have an exhaustive international scouting department, if they have one at all. Now, is that something that should be addressed? Yes, I think international scouting can improve. Obviously, we've seen the way that the NBA has moved, where international players have become some of the best players, if not, making up the majority of the top players in the league, certainly trending in that direction. So the WNBA and the Fever specifically, given how big a player they are in the WNBA sphere, can absolutely improve in that regard. But at the same time, the WNBA is not the same as the NBA. NBA players aren't going and playing internationally during the offseason or in lieu of the WNBA because it pays more. And that's a big difference and a significant difference because it would breed familiarity. It would allow players and coaches to be familiar with one another because of their experience firsthand or, seeing players in those realms, because that is a necessity of the women's basketball experience and life, because the money coming in is not good. Caitlin Clark makes $75,000, $80,000. So you think a player of that magnitude making that little, the organizations have the kind of finances to then go and, have these rich, deep scouting staffs? Hopefully they get there. I mean, the Fever are building a huge practice facility. The Liberty have built a huge practice facility. Obviously, the Valkyries, that money's going to come in. That's part of the new media rights deal. That's part of the increased attendance. That's part of everything. But you have to grow over time. And I saw an interesting thread on this let me give credit to Allie here, who put it together. Pacers have out 8 scouts listed on the directory, Fever 0. I have a feeling not having a dedicated scout staff is shockingly common in the W of the staff directories. I can find some don't even have any readily available. Only the Liberty have a scouting coordinator, but they are also assistant video coordinator. Now, the Liberty have done a very good job with the overseas, but obviously Mieseman chose to play there. They got Fibich. They've done a very good job. So that is a way for the Fever and other teams to improve. The Lynx staff, small, as she notes here. Nothing for the Atlanta Dream. Ticket sales for the Sky, no scouts, so on and so forth. The Valkyries don't have one, blah, 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 blah. The Valkyries are an interesting example because they did scout well internationally and cornered what you would call a market inefficiency. Moneyball, if you've ever seen Moneyball, what was the premise of that? It's not that on base percentage is the best thing necessarily, period. It's that it was an undervalued thing. And the A's, with less money to spend, looked at an undervalued asset or undervalued assets to bring in market inefficiencies. That's where you can look into international scouting to find untapped potential. And the Valkyries did a nice job of that in the expansion draft. Now, where the Fever are in the season, they also are, I keep seeing people go like, oh, Lambert's small or whatever. Who do you think is going to be available at this point in the season? When rosters are filled up and you're on hardship deals, the Fever are now looking internationally. Obviously, Lambert's a good example. Chloe Bibby is a good example, who the Valkyries found first. Do what the Valkyries do. Copy them. Copy what the Liberty do. But my point is, this is something franchises and organizations grow into. It just doesn't fall from a treetop overnight. Maybe you could have been further ahead of it. Certainly, that's a fair criticism. Why, after you got Caitlin Clark in a rookie year, push the NOS button and amplify everything because you have all these funds coming in. But that is part of the WNBA being a poverty league for as long as it's been. And I don't mean that as a diss. It's just the truth. Now it's a growing league, an expanding league, a league that is bringing in more revenue all the time through different streams. Ticket sales are up this year. I saw average attendance up over 11,000 for the first time ever. Kathy Engelbert said at All-Star break, attendance and ratings up 20%, or over 20%. The media rights deal is going to 3x the money coming in. All those sort of things, which, and that's why you see new practice facilities. That's why you see franchise valuations going up. And then some of that money needs to be invested into the team, into international scouting and other things a team would invest these things into. But it makes sense for WNBA evaluations to have been done from a word of mouth or personnel on staff or player to player sort of deal, because players have had to go play internationally in order to make a living in the offseason or as a substitute for the WNBA. So, you cannot just evaluate WNBA teams like their NBA franchises off rip when for the first time in ever, they are, looking like a big time league. And now they have to adjust to being a big time league. With that said, the Fever on hardship deals, they did a good job bringing in Ari McDonald. Good signing. We'll see how Odyssey Sims works out. Didn't look great at first. We'll see how Lambert works out. Chloe Bibby has seemed like a good value signing for what she was. So I guess I'm missing the hand on head, does that? I don't know. Aside from injuries, I guess I don't see where the disasters come into play. And the injuries are things that you can't control. Could it have been better? Was DeWanna Bonner obviously a bad signing in retrospect? Duh. But the rest of it, it just seems like there's a penchant, because you can criticize. You could say they should have done a better job scouting. You can say Stephanie White should have called her reset timeout earlier. Or whatever the case may be. Shouldn't have started Ari McDonald next to Caitlin Clark in that one game when she, legitimate criticism. But big picture, I really don't see what I'm missing as far as it being some sort of catastrophe.